gonna be? Who will you see in the finals versus Den Voxnay?
Hello there, everybody. Welcome back to the NLC for the penultimate game of this day. Battle between UniQ, who are at the foot of the standings, and Ruddy, for whom every win kind of matters now to secure their place in the playoffs. Veteran, this matchup has an additional wrinkle on the UniQ side with a couple of subs coming in. Do you feel like this is a good idea? Do you feel like this is going to improve the team?
I've been fairly vocal about my support of the Woljo UniQ core mid-jungle duo. I feel like whenever they've managed to get really good advantages, it has been off of the strength of those two. So the change of Woljo here, that is a curious one to me. We'll see if it works out for them, because it's felt like they could always rest on those two to carry the game if all else fails. And now, you know, they don't have that combo. They've decided to break that up. Obviously, they know better what's going on inside than me, but I'm very curious to see how that works out.
Just as a clarification as well, the subs that are happening in this game are on the side of UniQ. It's PlayStation in the bot lane instead of Poopy, and it is Cast instead of Voldio instead. So, yeah, changing the support in the jungle, which I think is interesting as specific changes, because I do actually think they're probably, I mean, they're the most vocal roles. Like the roles that play the map the most, and I think if you are looking to really change the identity of a team and the way that the team plays, those are probably two of the roles that could have highest influence on that. So I am very curious to see how this new UniQ team looks, because as you mentioned, really struggling so far in the standings, and Ruddy had no easy opposition.
No, not at all. I think they had a shaky start to the split, but I think every single week it feels like they're coming into their own more and more. It feels like they're becoming even stronger. The sort of unsung heroes, I think, of this team really has been Zapdo coming out of the jungle. I think he's really impressed me on a lot of his tank play. And Foxdrop, you're nodding alongside, so you're very
big time right now. Like, honestly, Zapdo is... Sorry, I couldn't let it. Yeah, I remember I watched, so his Maokai game specifically was absolutely banging. Like, I can't remember who it was against. Yeah, I don't remember who it was against, but his pathing was just like so it was so beautiful. It was so pretty to watch. He got such huge advantages. Like, he read, I think it was Indecision. I could be wrong there, but I feel like Indecision was playing Nocturne. Either way, whoever the opposing jungler was, he read him like a book. And he just completely destroyed him with that early pathing. And I thought it was super smart, because playing Maokai of all champions, you know, sometimes you see, like, you know, if your favorite streamer locks in some disgusting bully jungler and just invades the jungle, and because no one has maps in solo queue, you dominate and it's all sorted. No, Zapdo was doing it on Maokai of all champions. Like, ugh. The fact that you can bully someone and make them look silly in the early game as Maokai was just phenomenal. And so, yeah, as you say, I think this guy is super underrated, has been the shining point of Ruddy alongside Toaster, and his tank jungle play as well. It has just been really good. So yeah, I'm definitely keeping my eyes on that. Don't love this man.
Yeah, big brained. You could say he's got a big. I fumbled that completely, Foxy.
He's got a big nod in.
Yeah, no, I can't say it. Easy for you to say. But obviously there is that additional substitution in the support role for PlayStation coming in, and for Ruddy Veteran, I feel like that bot lane of Toaster and Pui has scaled up across the split to become one of our more aggressive duos.
Yeah, they had a lot of aggression the first week as well. It just wasn't very successful. But they have come into their own later on. You saw more unique picks on Pui, like the Soraka game, for example. But the entire team has found a way to mold themselves around this identity of all in all the time, right? The Yasuo composition, for example, comes to mind, right? Toaster's not going for these utility champions expected. He's going for stuff like Xayah and using the disengage to play into the enemy on top of it. Going on the Lucian, playing super hard on these skirmishes. Ruddy are a team that believes that the only way to get to the Nexus is to fight their way there tooth and nail, and the entire composition is coming around this sort of identity. Can't forget about that man in the top lane either, right? Shihan, he is picking quite aggressive champions there too, so the whole composition is formed around this identity. Not quite what we expected, but it has worked out for them. Then now that teams like Nord are catching up, you know, they need to make sure that there aren't too many holes in their game plan.
Absolutely, and I think a real flag bearer for them in terms of that aggressive playstyle. I think maybe the origin of that playstyle for this squad is Envy carrying the mid lane. Because if I'm thinking about aggressive players, he comes right to the top of my list. It's always stuff like the Sylas, like the Yasuo. We've got a few players like that in the league, but I don't think any of them are willing to push the envelope as far as Envy carry.
Yeah, you're 100% right on that. Like, you just need to glance at his champion pool to know what's up with that. Like, Envy Carry has played...
Those bans.
Oh, you know what? Let's just skip that and go straight on into it. So yeah, we had a bit of issues with our draft here. So here we go. We're halfway through the draft. You can see we've got Kai'Sa, Azir, and Rel slapped in for UniQ, with Xayah Rakan and LeBlanc on the side of Ruddy here, and all these bands coming in fast and furious. Veteran, what are your thoughts? Just I know you've had 10 seconds to take this all in, but quick hits on the
That's
draft
enough.
so far.
Yeah,
For
all
his
in,
massive
all
brain,
the
I'm sure
time.
it is.
I mean, all in, all the time, you must fight your way to a victory, and you must act before the enemy can act first, because the enemy acts first. You have Kai'Sa matching into LeBlanc on side lane, you have Azir stalling out on midsection, you have all these kinds of combos available to UniQ, and the only way to disrupt them again is we need to be fighting, and that's what Ruddy did last week, right? Last week, Tuesday, they had a very similar draft right down to the Xayah Rakan, where they're not going to win if UniQ are able to get a good map state, and so they were just giving up waves to try to fight as early in the game as humanly possible. So we know the playstyle to expect. These picks aren't that weird from them, and they once again haven't read the patch notes.
The LeBlanc lock-in is a little bit sus, I guess, right there. That is a
My
blind
God.
Renekton. I'm
All in.
Yeah, you just
All
you
in.
said it. It was all in. I think Renekton has its place, and like I just think blind Renektons are. Yeah, I don't know. Not a massive
Ace.
fan, but based. Okay, yeah, that's one word. One word for Uko as well. Is a well-known tank player. Like we banned away the Ornn from him as well. Would not be surprised to see another one of those tanks being slapped down. And oh my goodness, shock horror! It's Poppy, really good into Renekton as well, because obviously that steadfast presence means he can't dash and engage onto you. You just build a tank. It's yeah. To be honest, this Poppy's pretty good into a lot of the characters on Ruddy's side. You know, LeBlanc can't W, nor can Rakan. They're all going to be struggling, and so far this role is a flex pick. Could be jungle like we saw last game, but also does get played down bot in the support role. So far, yeah, that is going to be that support role with a Belveth. Going for that void synergy with Kai'Sa. You seem quite interested in this one, Veteran, though. Tell me why.
Because there's a really good pick here that Zapdo could easily pivot off of his Nunu to play, that suddenly it, like, a Rammus just absolutely destroys that team now. It destroys every single champion there. Kai'Sa can't function into it, Belveth can't function into it, Poppy can't really do much into it at all, but he's just going to rest on his laurels. He's going to go for the Nunu. You do have a significant level of zoning there, and you're essentially into an all-dive composition. The ranges Belveth plays into aren't AD carry ranges, they are ranges where you're in that Nunu ultimate. And again, the composition Ruddy does one thing. The only way is forward. It's like Forgiven plays every champion on crack cocaine. That's how they want to be playing this composition out. That's how they want to play this draft out. They want to do things the way Nord did them, not the way that Domino did them, but they have a similar condition to Domino. And last week we saw Ruddy try pull out the same thing, giving up waves, playing around Zapdos Nunu, right? But not in jungle, just in lane, over and over and over and over again. That's the game plan. You do win 2v2, you do win 3v3, but only if you put your pedal to the metal and you do not let go. If we talk
And
about
if this
dive
is-
buddies, this is a dive family.
And if like this is really sort of going towards stuff that has worked before, this is unique with something profoundly different. Woljo was not a carry jungle player. He was all about stuff like the Jarvan, stuff like the Sejuani, getting into lanes and being a utility source, a source of engage for his team. Bel'Veth, while she does have a little bit of that engage potential with a knock-up on her W, I think this is going to be cast much more invested in being a carry for the side.
Yeah, I love that. I love that you've highlighted that, because that is already, we've seen the new identity of UniQ. You know, it's changed already, like just from this jungle pick, and I think it could work really, really well, because you know, Veteran, you liked Waldo and Unicorn as a mid jungle. What really stands out for me from Unicorn is I think he's mega smart. We had an interview with him a little while back, and the things he was saying, it was a loser's interview, unfortunately, for him, but the things he was saying, you could just tell the way he thinks about the game. I think he'd match super well with a carry jungler. You know, like I just think he's like mega smart in the way that he plays the game. So yeah, for me, I'm all for seeing this like UniQ struggling 2-8 so far, not doing well at all, shaking so many things up here, changing out the jungle and support player, and already that playstyle is gonna be turned on its head with that carry jungle, which is something that UniQ have not had yet so far. So very excited to see how this Bel'Veth goes through his cast.
But you know, whereas it might be very difficult to win an argument against a smart person, it's absolutely impossible to win an argument against a dumb person. And Ruddy's composition is about as stupid as it gets, right? There is no brain play happening here. You just go straight on top of Unicorn and say, now what? Now what? Talk now, buddy. I love it. I love the plan. I love how they've been playing with this. But it has a lot of flaws. Like, so much is going to come down to this early game. If it's not steamrolling like Nord did, it's going to go very bad very fast. You have the disengage on the Azir, you have the disengage on the Poppy, you have an immense amount of AoE and burst, you have really good lockdown, you have all the tools to just get this Bel'Veth resetting into reset into reset into reset. So, you know, Ruddy, they have to, they're beholden to Zapdo here. They're beholden to Zapdo's play. They need to be playing around it, and then they can win the game.
But I don't think they're going to be necessarily concerned with that, because he has been a great performer. And if we look at the way that these comps want to play, right, UniQ, they can take a little bit longer in this game, like natives in our first game of the day. For Ruddy, they want to get things going, like Domino in our first game of the day, and we saw how that matchup ended out. I think the key difference is that Ruddy are not the sort of team to take the early game slow and steady.
I'm as a circle, is it not, Middlecott? And we're just seeing the same strategies, really, across the board in all of our first 3 games here today. My eyes, obviously, being on the jungle matchup. I think Nunu always makes things interesting, especially when it's Zapdo's Nunu, and as I mentioned, it is Bel'Veth and a different style for UniQ. For UniQ, if they are going to turn things around and make playoffs this split, it has to happen soon. And I don't even know if it's possible, to be honest, right? Like, I think it's possible at this point, but it's very difficult, and I don't think they can afford to drop too many more games. Not much long left of the split, actually. It's gone quite quickly so far. And, you know, see if PlayStation and Cast, being the new players into this lineup, can be that catalyst for the change and for the success of UniQ. So here comes that first gank. Might just be a face check.
We gonna put down the ward in the river. Level 2 hit. Flash engage from PlayStation. Decisive onto Toasted, but double duck up for the grand entrance. Keeps the Ruddy bot lane alive for a little bit longer. First kill of the game goes to Rusty Sniper. Zapdo rolling on in with a fairly medium-sized snowball for now. Not able to pick up anything for Ruddy.
Very nice save. Sorry, go on.
I was just going to say, not just a kill for Rusty Sniper, but both summoners from Toaster and a big wave under that tower.
Yep, and a very, very good debut from UniQ Cast, right? He's coming into a place, Woljo. He's identified that the... Nice patchness. He's identified that the win condition is going to be going all in all the time. Zapdo's trying to do it here. Does MBK have the HP to follow up? If he doesn't, then what Cast has done is he's gotten the tempo on the side of UniQ in the early game. People think a carry jungler against a ganking jungler, you have to just be farming and praying the other guy doesn't accelerate. Not so. You slow the game down, right? You get ahead of the guy, and the slower the game goes, the better it is for you. If you're matching evenly on Zapdo's ganks, you get the time you need to scale. Time is all you really need to scale. You don't need to be AFK farming and praying to whichever deity you believe exists. It's definitely not Jinwei anymore. And Cast has done the correct thing in doing that first gank. He's really thrown the ball into Zapdo's court, and he's struggling to pick it up.
I love the sound effects of Nunu bot.
Such a silly little champion. Such a goofy guy getting into these lanes.
He's so quirky. He's not like the other junglers.
He's a 10-year-old boy and a Yeti. I don't think there are many things like
That's
that.
true.
But he's made a visit to every lane, hasn't been able to find a kill in any of them yet. And if we're talking about Ruddy needing to accelerate, 4 minutes in is possibly not where we're going to be calling the game lost. UniQ, with a steadfast presence, can walk his way out of there, but is still going to get hit by the snowball. Zapdo looping that one around.
This is the most Nunu gameplay I've ever seen in my life. Gank into gank into gank, and it's just annoying. Like, it's just so annoying to play against a main on this champion. Interesting fun fact, one of the owners of Ruddy, Don Jake, actually mains this champion, so you have to think, right, little bit of bias here, right? Grabbing Zapdo in, right? Looking at a Nunu main, thinking that's obviously just the greatest player possible for this lineup, you know? And I wonder how much that influences Zapdo permanently picking it, you know? You have to wonder.
It's like is it XCD? I don't know what it's. That comic panel where it's like, why do you want to join
XKCD.
this? Yeah. It's like, I play Nunu. You're hired. Brilliant. He's in.
Yes.
He's the new jungler.
That's Cyanide and Happiness.
That's the
that
one. Yeah, sorry. That's the
Oh,
one.
yes.
Yeah. Your knowledge knows no bounds. If it's not League of Legends, it's GeoGuessr. If it's not GeoGuessr, it's comics. Movie critic as well.
Street doesn't know this. Like, I haven't been seeing this, but Veteran has been like absolutely crushing GeoGuessr during the
Literally.
race.
He sees a bit of dust out of place. Like,
unreal.
Oh, that's Slovenian dust.
True.
That's Slovenia. Slap it down. Yeah, and you know, Blade of Grass might look Norwegian, but it's actually Swedish.
It was actually the fact that they
differences.
had the accents over the E's over on that one, but yeah.
There you go. There are obviously multiple ways for you to tell, sure.
But the signs looking good for UniQ as it stands, with the scaling composition having bolstered their early game. Zapdo is going to be able to pick up this Drake fairly early on at the 6-minute mark, and with the shove that Toaster and Pui have engineered for themselves in the bottom lane, they can also move over if they so need to.
Should be that free dragon note for Ruddy. As you like to see with a Nunu, getting those early objectives, obviously that consume on Nunu is essentially another smite, so can take those ones away early. Zyra Khan having a lot of lane pressure. Pretty free there, nothing being lost at all, like no trade back either. Cast is going for the chickens on the top side, so it's something, but I do think that dragon is worth just a teeny weeny little bit more. We'll see if Cast goes for even more here though, because there is no response from Zapdo, and his red has just respawned. I think this is a little bit questionable, I'm not going to lie, for him to stay bot side, go for his Gromp and maybe even his Wolves here. When his whole top side's available, you've just done a bot side objective. Maybe he's assuming it's gone and he's just trying to take bot side, but I think he's given up a lot of his top side jungle for free here.
Yeah, current state of the game, so good for UniQ. The game is going so slow right now. Ruddy were thrown right off track by those early ganks. They weren't able to find something on the Poppy, the tankiest member of the enemy team. And options bot lane weren't there. And Zapdo, he might find UniQ, but MV carry is miles away. And that just has to be a flash burn. He's trying to find something. He's trying to find that speck of dust to tell him it's Slovenia, but he's actually trying to find a win. But Toaster may have found that speck! And Pui gets the kill onto PlayStation. Sorry for taking his job briefly there, middle cut.
No, it's absolutely fine. You did an exquisite job of it. Nearly as good as the Ruddy bot lane finding that engage. And that's pre-level 6 for Toaster. So you're not investing any of your defensive tools in order to get kills.
It's beautiful stuff, and Toaster's in a very, very good spot here. Precisely as you said, like he's just very happy. And once these Zyra Khan duos turn into level 6, it does get a bit scary. So getting a 2v2 kill is always nice, but especially pre-6, quite like you picked up. PlayStation with no flash here as well, so could open up the door for Zapdos.
MV carry. Interrupt on the distortion, so has to flash away. Ruddy bringing more members to the party though, and Cast is not enjoying it at all. Dashes back with the 1 million dashes that Belveth has and is able to get away. MV carry looking for something over the wall, but not able to find it. And so Ruddy able to pick up the Rift Herald despite UniQ starting it up initially. And another gank into the mid lane from Zapdo. UniQ going to get caught out. Double knock up from Pui, but no follow-up from MV Carry.
Yeah, I mean, it's a small victory for Ruddy, but they don't want those small victories. They want the long, hard, full-bodied wins, and they weren't able to find that on UniQ. They managed to get the Herald, they managed to force cast off the map for a bit, but UniQ, they must be happy that Ruddy aren't accelerating here, because so far, all Ruddy have been able to do is somewhat even things up. They haven't been able to claim the full lead anywhere, but this top lane, and the next one, not exactly a champion with Associate. Ooh.
Sniper killer instinct defensively. How many ganks has Zapdo achieved this game? It feels like it must be double digits by now. In the bush, going to get interrupted. Rusty Sniper firing out the Acathian rain, but PlayStation isolated on his own. MV Carry roaming over Toaster, investing the Feathers Pool to take Rusty Sniper low, and PlayStation, easy kill for Ruddy to get.
As you mentioned, God, you're the prophet. We might have Vito as the prophet for predictions, but today, Middlecourt, you were talking about not even having to blow your tools defensively when you can use them offensively. That's precisely what happened right there. That Blade Caller with the Featherstorm being used to secure the kill in the bot side. Very nice stuff for Ruddy and for Toaster. The fact that they absorbed that level 1 gank and are still able to keep up here in the bot side and do some good things is very, very promising here for Ruddy. And you wouldn't think it, really, just looking at this game, but it's a 1,000 lead for Ruddy. Is this a dive for Shihan against UniQ, though? No passive shield.
Well, Pui going for a dive in the bottom lane. Charms PlayStation, he jumps back. Double stun. Knockdown going to be interrupted. Flashback away from Toaster. HP advantage favoring UniQ, but Rusty Sniper, with no mana, is going to have a hard time getting the damage down. Stun onto Toaster means that Cast will be able to dash his way over, get his first kill of the game. Zapdo probably going to decide against opting for anything more in the bottom lane. But, gents, we are just after 10 minutes in. It's 2-2 in kills. Ruddy have got a 1,000 gold lead. Do we feel like the early game has gone well enough for them to be happy as... Oh, well, hold on. We'll have to hold that thought as it's going worse. PlayStation with that kill onto Zapdo. Not quite sure what the Nunu's doing there.
But on top of all of this happening, it's going to continue in a second, isn't it? Yeah, he's going to find Cast. Is he going to go for a kill? No, he won't.
Wait, there's the aura attack. Wait, does that proc the static shiv? Can we look at Rel in spawn? Is she going to get shivved? Ah, we're not going to see it.
Oh, it did. It did
shiver. It did shiver.
That's funny.
Love that.
But while all this is happening, Poppy is straight up not being having a good time topside.
Yeah.
Off of everybody and their mothers showing up bot, Poppy was praying for hers to relieve her between tier 1 and tier 2, as Renekton just took more plates in her face, denied her more CS and gold. Look at that lead, and Renekton's about to pick up another fat wave. This is an immense lead, over 50 CS differential. He could be looking to try to do a Flame Horizon on Poppy solo in the 1v1. One must think, imagine if Shihan was on a human champion.
Well, hold on. I feel like large crocodile is better than human in most sort of fight-based scenarios. Gets the removal of the shield there with the trade, but UniQ still relatively tanky. There is another fight happening bot lane. Toaster low initially. PlayStation flashing defensively, but is going to get isolated with damage coming down from the rest of Ruddy. Goes back in for a gank onto Pui. Man, both of these supports want to go in every single opportunity. UniQ still winning out in the mid lane trade despite not being at that first item point.
Lots of trades across the board here. Big old skirmishes happening. Love to see that. Shihan with a potential dive. There is ulti available and flash from UniQ.
Can he make the play? Shuffles away. Zapdo ults on his own in a bush. Does proc the phrase Rosho should be able to get out of there as MV Carry has donated some plates in the mid lane. UniQ has roamed down, is going to get the tackle. Knock up onto two PlayStation heroes with the Magnet Storm. Rusty Sniper providing the damage. The Rail getting the kill. That's 2 for UniQ.
Again, imagine if Shihan was on the human champion that point. might have actually been able to do something. I do like the play to try to transfer your lead on top lane in towards that midsection. It does burn the Poppy TP, and if they were to leave, that would be another incremental advantage for them. But now it's UniQ with the big advantage, and the real loser of this is Hitrain, who's attempting to predict against all of the winners today, but was the only guy to predict UniQ for this particular game. He may have just managed to play himself.
Wow. of course, as we all know, Hitbrain just... When he tries to do things right, it all goes wrong. And this time around, he's trying to do everything wrong, and it's all going right. So that's nice. I'm sure he's sitting there playing Genshin and crying into his bowl of Cheerios that he's not going to get this one. Potentially not going to get this one right. But I tell you, he won't be crying. UniQ. They're so happy about this one. Turning it around 2-8 so far on the split. Really struggling, and then going up against Ruddy 6-4 and really bringing it to them. This game is definitely not done by any stretch of the imagination, of course.
Oh, no.
Still a lot to play for here. But so far, so good here for UniQ. These changes seem to have worked dividends.
Oh, how low is that
Breeding. I mean, it's like 2 HP. Like, you breathe on it and it dies. So we'll say that's gold in lieu for Ruddy. First tower hasn't actually fallen yet, and if UniQ are able to somehow get the first structure destruction, they're going to feel very, very happy. Shihan not enjoying top lane at the moment. He was doing excellently in the 1v1, but Cast has made it no longer a 1v1. PlayStation caught out in the mid lane, though. The feather's going to be pulled back from Toaster, and they donate the kill to MV Carry. He's going to get mid lane tower as well.
Yeah, I mean, on all levels but physical, that mid lane tower was down, but now it is down in every way, shape, and form. Renekton not having a good time up there. I mean, he's asked me, do I want a human being or do I want a big crocodile? And I'll tell you, I just want Steve Irwin back. And apparently that is what UniQ are channeling this game. And the human is taking out the, by the way, ninja tabbied crocodile again in that 1v2 scenario. Can't see a blind thing that's going on.
Yeah. I hope it looks a bit better on the stream.
Yeah, a little bit of grey screen for the casters, but it's sorting itself out, hopefully. Ruddy, look like they're making a play towards that Rift Herald. Have secured it onto Zapto. They're going to back away. But again, it's another one of these games with a more early game focused composition that hasn't accelerated to the point where we're super confident in it.
I do think it was good plays to go hard on that mid section. It makes it really hard for UniQ to play outside lanes and to just slot Azir into that mid lane to hold it by taking it out. They do get the kill on towards PlayStation, and that sounds like it's not much because it's support, but he was actually the only player at the time that had a bounty, so it did maximize the goal gain that they needed. They need LeBlanc to be able to play well on sides because they static shift her and haven't read patch notes, and right now she's in a good position to do it. So I do think that they've made the right moves given their deficit. They'd obviously prefer not to have been on a deficit on the first place, but they've made the right moves since.
I want to turn my eyes to the substitutes here from UniQ as we're just over 50 minutes in. Like, I have, Cast has done really well. I think he's set up that early play down bot side nicely. He's done some good invades. Been quite impressed with what he's been able to do so far. PlayStation, on the other hand, this isn't just looking at the scoreboard, but he's all of his team's deaths right now. Ruddy's killed 3 people, and it was him 3 times. I just think he's a little bit out of position here, maybe a little bit too gung-ho, but to be honest, I'd rather a player be too aggressive than too passive. Nice to see he feels at least comfortable enough to sprint it down with his new teammates. Maybe there might be a little bit of a fight here around this third dragon. Would be soul point for Ruddy. Do UniQ contest? I think they're going to.
Uko over the wall. PlayStation has the ult. UniQ on resetting though, and charging out on the helicopter, not going to come through, so it's a big tool that UniQ don't have access to in this fight. PlayStation going to go in with a Magnet Storm, try and DPS down Shihan, but Zapto is able to take the Drake. That's soul point for Ruddy, and the fight is looking pretty damn good thus far. Toaster's still alive, but MV Carry's being forced back. UniQ with the shuffle, with the double. Toaster can't find the feathers, and UniQ lose the Drake, but they get 4 in the fight.
It is soul point there for Ruddy, but I think you take that, definitely worth it. Oh, MV Carry, you sneaky boy. No, he's not going to go for it instead. Cast almost getting caught out there. That would be if he only got bounty too. But my goodness, I think you trade that dragon there for the 4 kills. Really nicely done and a great engage from PlayStation. I was just about to flame him, but coming out of that, he did a very, very good job to make it happen. MV Carry's going to get slammed into the wall. It's not going to happen. No. Oh my goodness, I am not surprised in the slightest. He went for that play, but it did not work out. What a reaction from Uko, just about surviving.
That is a bounty out as well. You have to wonder, why was that the play and not bot lane on the flashless, ultless Azir? It would have been a more extended play, but you're the one that wins out if he doesn't have all of his tools. Might just be that the Azir stopwatch. I do apologise for noticing that at first, but the game has been paused, which has allowed me to think about it for an even longer. This is why I'm not a player, guys. I just talk about the game, right? Because in the moment, I would have made the wrong decision, wouldn't I? But if you give me a couple more seconds, and I'll know the right one. You know, I'm just not. I'm too old. Well, I'm just too old.
The problem is you're assuming it's your fault that Azir has stopwatch when actually you can just blame the jungler and say if Zapdo hadn't done I don't know something, you can think of something.
Yeah,
Azir wasn't rich enough to buy the stopwatch.
Yeah, if he was 3 seconds late on the timing on Wave Alpha Epsilon 4, and
yes,
my
really
blaming
unforgivable at that point.
My blaming mechanics are not on Foxdrop's level. Foxdrop knows the angle of how it was definitely the jungler's fault every single time.
Of course,
because
I am that jungler.
It. Yeah, he suffers it on a daily basis. All right.
Every single, he's got a list, all of them there. Every single reason that has been given for why it's his fault.
Straight up.
But for Ruddy though, game in a bit of a weird spot because they're down in terms of gold, but they're up in terms of those objectives. And if they can secure that mountain soul, that's going to bolster their scaling a little bit more. It's going to mean that unique strength as we get later and later on a little bit less. But it's the team from Sweden who are making a play on the map here, taking down that mid lane tower, feeling very, very good about the way that the game's gone so far.
Nope.
Ooh, is he caught here? That phase rush doing a lot of work, enabling him to just zap away, if you excuse the pun. But it's Carson and Unicorn for me that have been really, really impressive so far in this game. I think a lot of Unique has been really, really good. And the way they're playing the map has been good too. And this is something that you don't really get to see as a spectator in the sense that we are people watching the NLC. But it's like, what do the comms look like behind the scene? You know, who's making these calls? Who's going? Who's kind of controlling the boat, so to speak, of Unique? And is the voice of PlayStation and Cast having that impact? Like, I do think they can make a big difference in those two roles. And maybe it's kind of like the unseen benefit of having these guys on the team changing things around.
Well, I mean,
sorry, go on.
It's absolutely something for the interview, right? After the game, like hearing how bringing in these guys has changed up the way that Unique are playing.
Yeah, for sure. Ruddy, though, they have been in control of the map for the last 2 rotations, right? Which should give them a good position for a fight. But the big problem with the last scenario is that was the best fight they were going to get, right? Poppy wasn't able to make it a numbers advantage for Unique with her ultimate. She had to take the long way around to get back into the fight. All of the utility was blown on the double tank combo of Ruddy. Didn't touch their carries at all, right? Toaster and MB carry were untouched to the side there, and yet still, with all of that going well, they managed to lose the fight. Ruddy, they have not gotten themselves in an adequate situation to be able to win these 5-on-5s, so they have to keep playing map states like this. The question is, how do they pivot off of that? If they're going to get baited into a 5-on-5 and not just skirmishes, then they could just lose every fight and lose the game off of it. They must be worried coming out of that Drake.
But this is what having the soul point does allow you to do. Ruddy can play a little bit more towards the Baron side because they're not pressured by a soul on Unique's side, right? Whilst the team on the blue side does have the gold advantage, they still have to respond to what Ruddy wants to do on the map, because if you give them over a Mountain Soul, if you give them over a Baron, then the game is going to be a heck of a lot more even. But as it goes longer, Rusty Sniper, Unicorn, Cast only becoming stronger.
Ooh, this Zapdo, this Nunu is not AP Nunu, so those kind of wild, crazy snowballs are going to chunk you down for like 50% of your health. But still, something you have to respect coming out of Fog of War. You don't have a lot of time to react to those engages. And a champion like Kai'Sa, you can get caught pretty easily. As we are now only a few moments away from the spawning of this next dragon. Considering Unique have control of the map, you'd imagine this would be something they should just take easy peasy. Ruddy are going to get spotted out on that Nash. Not going to take that one. I didn't see that one come in, but my goodness, Zapdo was trying to solo it out, and it should actually give enough time for Unique to secure this dragon, even though it is soul point, or is the soul for potential soul for Ruddy. Zapdo's on half health right now. I respect the fact that Ruddy assumed, you know what, let's ignore this because Uko's getting a little bit caught out. Never mind, he's not getting caught out in the end. Ruddy are still, they're doing it. They're
just doing it. They're just going straight onto the Baron.
Can Unique stop it?
This is just a Nunu main, though. Like, this is
do
the most
they, do they know the
Nunu main
Baron's
call
going
I've ever
on?
seen.
Why
This is
They're
the
not moving
most
over.
Nunu call. This is
Blue
such
Trinket
a
is going to
Nunu
get
call.
dropped down, and Cast is just too far away. Ruddy.
He's
Just take the Baron! And UniQ, they might be able to get an engage. That is a brilliant three-person knockup from UCO. Ruddy, they just need to disengage. They just need to get out of here with as many purple buffs as possible. And with their top lane tower still intact, Shihan looks like he may only be the casualty. Zapto not going to get hit from the knockup from Castles. UniQ are continuing the dive, but the lack of towers taken in the top lane protects Ruddy and lets them get back to base.
Nah, that was criminal.
That's the single most Nunu call I've ever seen in the NLC, man. That was full respect to you. You say we don't know comms. We do know comms. We know who made that call. We know who yelled that call the whole time. We knew who ran away, assuming everyone else on this team had 5 trillion move speed. And we know who's rolling up right now to learn that you can't just extend.
A triple knock-up into the mid lane, into the Magnet Storm. Toaster can get shoved back into the melee and taken out by Cast. Rusty Sniper rampaging to kill Envy. Carry double for UniQ. 3 off the board for Ruddy. They may have the Baron, but they're not going to be taking any towers anytime soon.
One mistake, giving up that Baron for free to a really, really good redemption play for UniQ. Getting the flank, getting the TP down there as well. Nicely done, going to push down mid, going to barrel that down, taking away that inhibitor, and should be able to rotate with a good wave position here into the top side too. A lot to be taken with some relatively long death timers. That is a good reward here for UniQ after really what was probably one of the biggest gaffes of this game, giving up that Nash for free. Ruddy might look to return this one here. I don't think this is a good idea, but they're going for it.
Zapto is very far forward, but the engage is going to come through from Pre. 3 people locked up with the grand entrance. Bodies falling on the ground, 1 for 1 as Shihan gets knocked back. UniQ not going to be able to take down the top lane tower.
I love Nunu, man. I love Nunus. I love Nunu players. Right? They're so good. They lose all the time, but they're so goddamn funny to watch as they go and lose the entire game single-handedly. Today has really been the story of teams trying to play hard pressure, free lane compositions, and most of them failing. Nord being the only one succeeded in playing out that pressure, playing out that aggression, like getting all of the kills that they need. Ruddy, they've had some cheeky moves here and there, but despite the fact they've been on Soul Point, we've never been able to talk about how they've used that pressure, and even when they get a winning map state, they aren't able to accelerate off of it because MVK just isn't in a position to kill any individual member on the side of UniQ. UniQ, they definitely feel like they're in a really good position now. They definitely feel like they're in control of the game, even when the map, as it is right now, is in Ruddy's favor. It's all going to come down to this Drake in 2 minutes' time. In 2 minutes' time, Ruddy are going to make their last stand, possibly their last stand, or they're going to have all of the makings of the comeback. And if I'm them, I'm thinking, how do I make a pick? How do I get a 2-man, a 1-man, something like this before that Drake happens? Because I'm not winning the 5-man. It'll just be the same story as before.
I mean, how do you kill someone that isn't PlayStation, right? True. He is the only guy to have died on UniQ, and whilst maybe you can flame him for that in the early stages, if this game ends with PlayStation being the only one with a number in that center column for UniQ, they are going to be so happy because this is a massive coup for them if they can pull it off. Ruddy still in with a shot, still have the potential to get that Mountain Drake, and with a minute to go, UniQ really don't have any pressure in the river to contest.
You've got to look at the items as well and just ask where that hero play is coming from. It looks like it's going to be potential engage in mid. Not anything too big happening there. Like exactly as Raven said, like you just don't have the capacity to win something in a 5v5. You've got to use that LeBlanc and that Nunu, I guess, and maybe Rakan to like try and pick someone out of position before the fight starts and turn into like a 5v4 or something along those lines. They're just not able to find it. They really can't do it, and it's difficult. Really difficult for Ruddy now to get that intro, get that engage or whatever you want. Try and get this this Mountain Soul. I don't think it's gonna happen. I think it's so hard for them, and really now the ball's in UniQ's court. It'll come down to a massive throw from these guys. Give up that pick to lose an objective to get Ruddy back in the game.
And Ruddy have completely eschewed any control around that Drake. I mean, Mountain Drake stacking up for UniQ is not great, but it's not like they can threaten a soul of their own at any point in the next few minutes. So I think Ruddy will be content to pick up gold on these side lanes and try and advance the map state a little further.
Yeah, they should play really hard to this tier 2 top lane. I think if they just try to group and flank UniQ will collapse on any side of it and they'll win the fight pretty much immediately. I think forcing Azir to have to abandon his own push on bot lane and trading that Drake for more tempo on the map, I think that's the right play, and I think this is a preview of how a winning Ruddy strategy would go. And if you see anything but this kind of map play in the next 10 minutes, then I feel like you're just seeing a Ruddy loss.
That map play is going to become a heck of a lot harder because in 30 seconds, Baron is spawning. And whilst Ruddy were able to get the first one, I feel like UniQ will be a little bit more wise to any potential shenanigans that could go down.
Look at those bounties as well on UniQ. I mean, Kai'Sa, Azir, and Belveth all sitting on big fat bounties. I suppose that's kind of a plus side for Ruddy in the sense like you only... You know, you don't have to focus on one specific person and get that one person down for that shutdown. There are a few sacks of gold knocking about here for you. You can be a bit more indiscriminate in your targeting here. Question, of course, is you can't claim any bounty if you can't kill anyone, and I just don't know how they do it. Like we've said before, Ruddy has not killed anyone not named PlayStation. It's so difficult for them, and I just don't see how it's going to get any easier.
Yeah, when you look at Zhonya's for UniQ on the Banshee's Veil as well, and Rusty Sniper's even picked up his own stopwatch. So even if you do get a massive wombo combo engage onto one of these key carries, they can just press a button on their keyboard and you can't kill them for 2.5 seconds. And I don't think that Ruddy have that much time in a team fight to survive. You need to get these guys off the board as soon as possible.
They are...
Knows that though. Oh!
Jiang going to flash back over the wall. Rusty Sniper follows him into his own Raptor pit and donates the kill over to UniQ. 5 kills apiece on the mid lane and the 80 carry for UniQ. And Ruddy, without their top laner, may be at risk. They're still going for these flanks. They're still going for these engages. UniQ in the bottom lane is going to teleport into this fight as Zapdo engaged onto the absolute zero loss. Absolutely 0 seconds. And Zapdo will fall down in a couple less somehow. 2 dead. This means that UniQ can play towards the Baron if they want, but if UniQ gets caught, could it be lethal? Still going to get chumped, still going to get knocked into the skies and shut down. Ruddy looking for a push in the mid lane, but UniQ on the flank.
Okay, it's just those two for now as Nash is being taken down by Kai'Sa and Belveth, so Ruddy should be okay to walk away from this one. Big shutdown though, coming over to Kai'Sa. Toaster with that 700 gold bounty claimed over from UniQ. That's a big gap there, honestly. Like, that's not... You do not want to funnel gold into the enemy ADC. If you've got a game that's, by all accounts, kind of in the bag at this point, you really cannot afford to do something like that and give the enemy team a way back in. But he just bought... He's at 3 items now. He's working towards his 4th. Toaster's, as far as ADCs go, one of the best ones we have here in the league. And he'll be showing us, I imagine, why you do not want to give a 700 gold bounty over to an ADC. Can he leverage that though? Can his team help him get those hits in? Or is he just going to be, you know, at the whim of PlayStation with the engage and Belveth at that low range as well?
Can we just talk about how disgusting that wave is that has just been generated by Cast by purely existing in the bottom lane? Ruddy might be able to capitalize on this push. They've got 4 members strong here, 1 more than UniQ, but with so many Remoras on the floor, it honestly feels like UniQ have got a whole army out their back as they take down that tier 2 tower.
I hecking love Belveth, and I especially love the ridiculous army she just spawns whenever she is able to get to this stage. I do want to say though, right, on the side of Ruddy, the game plan is still simple. You need to catch them out, right? You need to fight them, but you need to try to isolate them. Straight 5-on-5 is just going to be reset city for the Belveth. That's what UniQ are going for.
Bot lane inhibitor going to drop. The rotates over to the mid lane from UniQ, going to come through. Ruddy not going to contest the inhib take, but they may look for a fight afterwards. Zapdo putting a snowball into the backline PlayStation, offering some disengagement. Ruddy the ones who are going forward. Triple jump. What a play from Pui as it's PlayStation's 6th death of the game. Rusty Sniper actually going in off the Emperor's Divide. And UniQ recognize the opportunity and they grab it with both hands. 2 dead on the side of Ruddy. MV Carry rushing back to base with the Baron still on for another 45 seconds. UniQ looking to end. MV Carry, Toaster. Able to do damage, but able to find access to the wave. It doesn't look like it at the moment. Toaster still firing out, but the interrupt on the distortion. Clutch from Uko as MV Carry falls into the grave. Shihan on the backline going to try and offer something on the Renekton, but his AD carry is dead, and his Nexus is going to be dead as well. UniQ with a huge upset. Take down Ruddy.
There was a... Go on.
3-8 in the standings. Beautiful stuff for these guys, and they, you know, for a team that was bottom, just 7-game loss streak as well, by the way. A 7-game loss streak, all turned around. Very solid game, and those subs seems to be paying off.
And the real winner of this game, by the way, is Nord, right? They were 1 away, and they are still 1 away from Ruddy. And this is not the first time we've seen Ruddy try to pull off a composition like this. And the place where they got the biggest advantage top lane, you have to think they're not going to be able to get that kind of a thing against Nord if it comes down to it. Nord have a very, very good chance to become the 3rd team in the standings off the back of this game.
Yeah, I mean, also, though...
I agree with it again.
Now you guys can hear me, right? I'm not used to having to mute and unmute, so give me a second, right? Okay, guys? But also, I mean, the real, I guess you could say the real loser of this is actually Hitbrain, right? He got
a prediction right, the only one.
I mean, also, I guess that I'm fired as a script writer. I didn't respect the source material. I'm sorry. I will do it better next time. But honestly, like, there are so many things to kind of dive into this game, right? Like, because again, the jungle matchup initially, we kind of just got to see an immediate swap in terms of agency in the jungle, because like, again, they were still playing towards the bot lane, but Cass kind of just started to run away with it. Foxdrop.
Absolutely, like right from the get-go, you know, with that level 3 gank in the bot side was really, really good to get his team rolling. And throughout the whole game, you know, Zato was trying to make it happen with that Nunu. He was just like pressing W and right-clicking every single lane, trying to have that pressure. And I think UniQ did a really good job of respecting that, but it did also mean that Cast was able to get a pretty significant CS lead. I think at one point I saw Zato was on like 60 and Cast was on over 100. It was pretty significant, and with Belveth being more of that carry focus, like she was able to just power through the jungle, and there was a big threat in those 1v1s. And when just a threat in general, and when you've got a relatively low range team like Ruddy had, a strong Belveth is very difficult to deal with, and I don't really think that Ruddy had an answer.
No, and speaking of Cast, let's get an interview with him here, because we have him on the line. Nice. So hello, Cast.
Salaam alaikum, brother. Hello. How we doing, man? How we doing? Beautiful game to watch, don't you think?
Yeah, great games, great game to watch from your side as well here. So I kind of want to talk to you about this, because like you come into this UniQ roster after having played in the 3rd division for this season for this verdant roster, right? So
I played for Thunder. We played 2nd division. We won.
Oh, sorry, I'm confusing you with PlayStation played for Verdant Bloom. Yeah, sorry, you played Thunder with actually, I have this written down as well over here. Just confused you with PlayStation for a second. I'm so sorry, my friend.
It's okay.
But you came through and you won some division with Thunder last split, obviously with Rusty Sniper. So I assume that what was your way into the team was through Rusty Sniper.
My fucking brother Rusty Sniper, bro. We've won Division 2 together. Now, you know, unfortunately, I entered every tryout, so they didn't take me in the first time, you know. But now they needed that change, you know, and I'm there. I'm always there, you know. And I'm always happy to play with my brother Rusty Sniper. He's been a big part of my, like, 1-year career. But yeah, it's been really great, yeah. And he's a really good friend as well, you know, yeah.
Yeah, so just a quick question more here to you to kind of close out this interview so you can get ready for tomorrow. Yeah. What is Belveth? Are we going to see more of these like carry junglers come through for you, or you're also going to lean into more of the supportive role?
Bro, I swear to God, like Maokai, Sejani, get that shit out of my way, bro. I don't play that shit, man. Like, honestly, I've been playing solo queue the whole day. Belveth, Kinder, don't put me on Maokai, Sejani. We're only gonna lose if that happens. So yeah, you're gonna see carry junglers in the future. And if I win, that's another question for another day, man. But today, we take this victory. Easy dub, easy dub. Enemy was shit. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that, but like that's what we think, you know. Thank you. Like I'm really happy with today's performance. Wallah, it was really nice. But yeah, we're all stoked, man. We're all happy, you know. It's like it's great, you know. It's great.
I love the enthusiasm, cast. Congratulations on a great performance here. Get back to the team and prepare for tomorrow.
Thank you. See ya, man. Bye bye.
Oh my god.
Listen, all right? Every single dog owner knows, right? If you have, like, 2 dogs, right, you're gonna have, like, a really, really hyper dog, and you're gonna have, like, a really calm one, right? You might have one hyper dog at first, and it might become the calm one when you bring the next one. Like, there's an equilibrium you have to achieve, right? Players are basically dogs, and we can clearly see that UniQ have found that equilibrium by bringing this guy in, right? He's the kind of personality who's going to lift up the rest of the team, right? Pave a way forward emotionally, and everyone else can follow that path in the slipstream. It's really good to have a personality like that on your team, 100%, right?
I think it's amazing that you were able to get that analysis out of what was possibly one of the funniest interviews that I've seen. But it's great to see, right? And I'm not going to lie, I think you've earned yourself an interview like that with the performance that you put on today, coming straight into this team. And I'm getting excited for UniQ. I did this at the start of the split, and it burnt me hard. I'm doing it again. I don't care. This team is looking really cool.
I mean, it's based off of just the one game, though, Foxtrap. Are you also in the boat of UniQ is looking really good now?
Yeah, I think considering they were playing versus Ruddy, who's like one of the better teams in the league, right? I think that definitely helps with our assessment of them. Obviously, you know, 1 game sample size is very small, but yeah, I love it. I think you have a solid core there in Unicorn and Rusty Sniper as your carries. Cast seems like he's bringing, you know, a different element to the team, and yeah, I love it. I think that was a really, really good game. Like, they didn't just beat Ruddy, they looked very solid, and considering, you know, Natives and Verdant are the only 2 teams ahead of Ruddy in the standings, those guys might be a little bit out of reach. I don't know, that would be a really big test for this new UniQ roster, but you know, there's not a lot of teams that are much better than Ruddy in the NLC, and the UniQ handed it to them.
Listen, right? Honeymoon phase, right? 2 words haunted many teams, all right? You get into you get a new girl, she's vibrant, she's energetic, she shows you things you've never seen before, things you've never felt before, right? But after the honeymoon comes the rest of the marriage, and that can get really cold really fast. We've just seen that from Fourth Wall, right? We could still be looking at a dead bedroom from these guys in a week or so's time, so it's looking really good now, but let's see how the rest of the relationship goes.
A team that's also looking for that potential honeymoon phase with a quick substitution is Venia. They're going to be using Moxox instead of Liam Cole, and they're going to go up against Verdant in our final game of the day. Don't go anywhere.